At 2 a.m. during Grammy week, a knock echoes through the hallway, but no one is there. Only a black envelope on the floor, sealed with a symbol you don't recognize. Inside, instructions: dress in white, say nothing, surrender everything. What happens next is never filmed and never talked about. Some artists walk out famous. Others walk out broken. A few are erased completely. Tonight, we step into the room Hollywood swears doesn't exist. You're a 21-year-old artist. You've spent 3 years sleeping on a floor in North Hollywood, eating ramen, and recording vocals into a closet full of winter coats. Then, it happens. The single goes viral. Your phone starts blowing up. Labels are calling. And suddenly, it's Grammy week. You're staying at the Chateau Marmont. It's 2 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is real. When a faint shift sounds at the base of your door, you walk over, heart hammering. Slipped onto the carpet is a heavy, matte black envelope. No stamp, no return address, just your name in silver ink that seems to shimmer under the hallway light. You tear it open. Inside, a single card with GPS coordinates, a strange geometric symbol, and 4 words: dress in white, say nothing. This is the moment your life changes, or the moment you lose yourself entirely. Now, if you look at the official Grammy schedule, you'll see the brunches and the red carpet galas. But according to industry insiders, there is a shadow schedule. While the public is watching TikToks of influencers in gift lounges, the real power brokers are gathering in luxury mansions in the Hollywood Hills. These invite-only gatherings have one strict rule: no phones. Why the secrecy? Because these parties aren't about networking. They are about initiation. In conspiracy circles, Grammy week is considered a harvest period. Think about the energy. You have thousands of the most ambitious people on the planet descending on one city. They are all craving one thing: ascension. When you're that desperate, you'll do almost anything. Take Katy Perry. Before she was a global superstar, she was a struggling gospel singer. In a 2010 interview, she openly admitted, "I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, so I sold my soul to the devil." People laughed it off as a joke, but the timing was curious. Suddenly, she was everywhere. Or look at Bob Dylan. In a 2004 60 Minutes interview, he admitted he was still touring because of a bargain he made a long time ago with the chief commander in this world, and in the world we can't see. Then there's Nicole Scherzinger, who once told a journalist that she hasn't reached the level of certain other stars because she refused to sell her soul. Even Kanye West, before his public awakening, famously rapped, "I sold my soul to the devil, that's a crappy deal." These aren't just metaphors. Researchers suggest that the invitation is the first stage of a rite of passage. By requiring an artist to dress in white and say nothing, the industry elders are performing a blank slate ritual. You are stripping away your brand and your voice to become a vessel for the industry's vision. I once heard a story from a former personal assistant to a major executive. We'll call him David. David claimed he once had to drop off a package at a Bel Air estate during Grammy week. He said the driveway was lined with black SUVs, and the security wasn't just armed, they were wearing earpieces and suits that looked like Secret Service. As he walked to the side entrance, he saw 3 young artists, all of whom are now household names, standing in a courtyard, dressed entirely in white, staring at a stone wall in total silence. They weren't talking, they weren't on their phones, they looked like they were waiting for a sentencing. This is the high-stakes room. If you look at the artists who have had the most meteoric rises, many have a lost week right before their first hit, a period where they went dark and emerged as someone different. The lights are dimming in that Bel Air mansion. The chanting is starting to rise above the sound of the city. You're standing at the entrance, dressed in white, heart racing. You're about to get everything you ever wanted. But the chief commander doesn't give anything away for free. Wait until you see what happens once the door closes, and what the industry demands as payment. The door slams shut. You are in a suffocating, windowless room, lit only by the flicker of low-burning tallow candles. You're still in your white dress, but it feels like a shroud now. In the center of the room stands a table draped in black velvet. On it lies a heavy, ancient-looking ledger and a needle-sharp stylus. One of the kingmakers leans into the light. He doesn't ask for your signature in ink. He asks for a drop of blood and a promise. Suddenly the image flickers. You're on the Grammy stage, the crowd is deafening, and you're clutching that gold trophy. But as you look down at the award, the gold seems to turn into wet, dark crimson. The applause isn't cheering, it's a rhythmic, low-frequency hum that vibrates in your teeth. The contract is signed, The blood price has been set. In the music industry, there is a chilling phenomenon, the breakthrough tragedy. It's the idea that for a career to reach supernova status, that level of fame that transcends music and enters the realm of worship, a physical or emotional sacrifice must occur. Take Jennifer Hudson. In 2008, she was the industry's it girl, winning an Oscar and preparing for a massive career peak. Then, in a span of 3 days, her mother, brother, and 7-year-old nephew were brutally murdered. The industry's reaction, a massive wave of public attention, and a Grammy win just months later. While Hudson was grieving, her commercial value skyrocketed. Or consider Kanye West. His transformation from a backpack rapper to a megalomaniacal god figure accelerated almost immediately after the sudden tragic death of his mother, Donda West, due to surgery complications. Many theorists point to this as the moment the original Kanye was replaced by something else. A man who admitted in interviews that he was doing the work of the higher-ups. We have to talk about the 27 Club. Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin. Skeptics call it a coincidence of lifestyle, but insiders whisper that 27 is the age when the introductory contract expires. If you don't agree to the next level of initiation, the part that requires total submission to the industry's occult agenda, the protection is withdrawn. Amy Winehouse famously looked like a ghost in her final performances, stumbling and refusing to sing. It was as if she was on strike against her handlers. Weeks later, she was gone. Even Justin Bieber has alluded to this dark undercurrent. In his song Lonely, and in various interviews, he's touched on the shameful things he had to do as a child star to maintain his position. He spoke about the predators in the industry, and for a while his behavior became so erratic it looked like a total system failure. He was sacrificing his reputation just to stay in the game. Then there's Aaliyah. Her death in 2001 remains a cornerstone of industry conspiracy. She was the princess of R&B, but rumors persisted that she wanted out of the specific circles she had been brought into. Her death in a plane crash, despite the pilot's warnings, cleared the path for other artists to take her throne. Aaliyah was apprehensive and originally refused to board the small plane. According to reports, she was allegedly given a sedative for her anxiety and carried onto the aircraft while unconscious. The industry doesn't just want your music. They want the energy of your trauma. When Lady Gaga discussed her total psychotic break during the production of Chromatica, she described it as being humanly impossible to keep up with the demands of her persona. She admitted to being chained to her fame. This is the sacrifice theory in action. The kingmakers believe that human trauma creates a surge of emotional energy, a loosh that can be harvested to power a global brand. They don't want a stable artist, they want a martyr. They want someone who has lost something they can never get back. Back in that ritual room, the kingmaker smiles. He tells you that your sacrifice is accepted. You walk out into the Hollywood night, and suddenly, every radio station is playing your song. You're a god. You're an icon. But every time you look in the mirror, you see the face of the person you used to be, the one you left behind on that black velvet table. You realize that the world isn't cheering for you. They're cheering for the vacuum you've become. The price has been paid, but the performance is just beginning. Now they're going to put you on a stage and turn your trauma into a show. Wait until you see the symbols they hide in the choreography, the secret language they're using to program the audience. The stadium goes pitch black. A single spotlight hits the stage, revealing a massive black and white checkerboard floor. You're no longer a person, you're a chess piece. You're pushed out in front of 20,000 screaming fans, but you notice the dancers aren't looking at the crowd, they're staring at you with unblinking, prosthetic-looking eyes. They begin to move in perfect mechanical geometry, forming a literal human pyramid with you at the apex. As the bass thumps, a giant golden all-seeing eye flickers on the screen behind you. You perform the one-eye sign, covering your face with a gloved hand. You didn't plan this move. The choreographer insisted it was just the vibe. But as the crowd roars, you feel a sickening surge of electricity. You aren't just singing a chorus, you're leading a mass-scale invocation. If you think these stage designs are just art, you aren't paying attention. Look at Madonna's 2012 Super Bowl halftime show. She entered as an Egyptian priestess, surrounded by winged soldiers, performing under a massive winged sun disk, a symbol of the deity Horus. This wasn't a concert, it was a high priestess ritual broadcast to 114 million people. Or take Beyoncé. Her 2017 Grammy performance was a literal shrine to the Yoruba goddess Oshun and the Roman goddess Diana. Clad in gold, wearing a sunray crown, she sat at a table that mimicked the Last Supper. Insiders say these divine aesthetics aren't about ego, they're about channeling. By assuming the form of an ancient deity, the artist becomes a lightning rod for the psychic energy of the masses. Then there's Sam Smith. Their 2023 unholy performance at the Grammys featured literal devil horns, red robes, and cages. While the public debated the satanic imagery, occultists pointed to the specific geometric patterns the dancers formed on the floor, the sigil of Baphomet. Nicki Minaj did something similar during her Roman holiday performance, which featured a mock exorcism on live television. Why? Because the industry uses the shock value as a cloak. While you're distracted by the controversy, the symbols are doing their work on your subconscious. Even The Weeknd's 2021 Super Bowl show featured a hall of mirrors and dancers with bandaged faces. This is a direct reference to faceless drones and the shattering of the soul in trauma-based programming. Every bandage, every mirror, and every light flash is a syllable in a secret language that the kingmakers use to signal who is currently in power. Why do they do it so openly? Look at Rihanna. In her S&M video, the words "Princess of the Illuminati" literally flash across the screen. Look at Jay-Z, who made the pyramid hand sign so famous that millions of fans do it back to him at every show. This is the concept of revelation of the method. The elite believe that if they tell you exactly what they are doing, even in the form of art, and you still applaud, you have given them your implied consent. They have warned you, and by continuing to consume the product, you are participating in the ritual. You aren't just a fan, you're a battery. The music starts to slow. The dancers fall to the floor in a circle around you. You look up at the rafters and see the kingmakers watching from the shadows of the VIP box. They aren't clapping, they're just nodding. The ritual worked. The crowd is under the spell. But now the industry needs to make sure you don't wake up from it. The dressing room mirror is bleeding. You're slumped in a velvet chair, the heavy stage makeup cracking on your skin like a shell. You try to remember your mother's phone number, but all that comes to mind is the rhythmic pulsing of the strobe lights. Every time you blink, your reflection stays eyes wide open, whispering lyrics to a song you haven't written yet. A handler walks in, taps a tuning fork against a crystal bowl, and the sound vibrates inside your skull until your vision splits in two. "Time for the interview," he says. You don't feel like you're walking toward the door. You feel like you're watching a puppet. Your own body get up and move while you remain trapped behind your own eyes. You've been fragmented. We've all seen the videos. Katy Perry standing on stage in 2022, her right eyelid frozen shut, twitching uncontrollably while she desperately tries to manually pull it open. Fans called it a glitch in the Matrix, but theorists call it a trigger response. In trauma-based programming, specific frequencies or trigger words are used to switch an artist between their public persona and their original suppressed self. When the two clash, the hardware fails. Look at Britney Spears. The 2007 breakdown wasn't just about paparazzi. It was about the shattering of a child star who had been under industry control since the Mickey Mouse Club. When she shaved her head, she wasn't just being crazy. She was attempting to strip away the physical identity the kingmakers had built for her. Her subsequent conservatorship was described by many as a literal MK Ultra handling program, where her every move, medication, and word was scripted by those who owned her. The industry loves a good alter ego, but the names they choose are chillingly specific. Beyoncé has Sasha Fierce, an entity she described as taking over her body during performances. Nicki Minaj has Roman Zolanski, a violent, erratic persona she claims she can't control. Eminem has Slim Shady. In the world of dissociative identity disorder research, an alter is a personality created to hold trauma that the host cannot handle. When Lady Gaga tells Oprah she developed a psychotic break where she felt her brain was cut off from the world, she is describing the exact goal of Project MK Ultra. By traumatizing the artist through sleep deprivation, isolation, and psychological abuse, the industry creates a blank slate they can program with a hit-making persona that never says no, even the biggest artist in the world. Taylor Swift has hinted at this level of control. In her song Mirrorball, she sings about shattering into a million pieces just to keep the audience entertained. In The Archer, she asks, "Who could ever leave me, darling? But who could stay?" This isn't just about romance, it's about the handler-victim relationship. Take Kanye West, who famously screamed during a 2016 concert, "Jay-Z, I know you got killers, please don't send them at my head, please call me." Days later, he was handcuffed and hospitalized for a psychiatric emergency. When he returned, his hair was dyed, his speech was slowed, and he looked like a man who had been reset. This is the industry's ultimate weapon. If they can't control your mind, they will chemically lobotomize your career. You're sitting on the interview couch now. The bright lights hit your eyes, and for a second you remember the invitation. The black envelope, the white dress. You want to scream that you're being held captive in your own life. But then the handler in the front row clicks a pen. The sound triggers a pre-programmed happy state. You smile. You laugh at the host's joke. You tell the world you've never been better. You've become the perfect product. A human body with a corporate soul. But some people refused to stay in the cage. They tried to break the glass, and they paid the ultimate price. The studio walls are closing in. You're huddled in the back of a darkened vocal booth, clutching a burner phone you smuggled past security. You've seen the black site folders on the executive's desk, names of artists marked inactive or expired. You hit record on a voice memo, your voice trembling as you whisper about the blood oaths and the reset rooms. Suddenly, the lights flicker. The air goes ice cold. You hear a heavy boot step on the hardwood outside. You try to upload the file, but the screen turns into a scramble of static. A voice, distorted and mechanical, comes through your headphones. The contract is eternal. The door kicks open, a flash of white light blinds you, and the recording cuts to a dead, hollow silence. You didn't just lose your career. You've been deleted. In Hollywood, the most dangerous thing you can be is an unreliable vessel. When an artist begins to peel back the tape on their mouth, the machine doesn't just fire them, it erases them. Take Michael Jackson. Toward the end of his life, MJ stopped playing the industry sweetheart. He began calling Sony music head Tommy Mottola the devil and racist, openly speaking about how the industry conspires to steal the legacies of black artists. He was preparing a massive comeback to reclaim his power. Days before the tour began, he was gone. The official story was an accidental overdose, but his daughter Paris Jackson has stated on record that she believes her father was murdered by the system. Then there's Prince. He famously walked around with the word slave written on his face to protest his contract with Warner Brothers. He spoke in cryptic interviews about chemtrails and the people who run the music industry. Shortly after announcing he was writing a tell-all memoir that would expose everything, he was found dead in an elevator. Like MJ, the narrative was accidental overdose, a convenient label for any artist who becomes too vocal. If they don't kill you, they kill your mind. Dave Chappelle famously fled to South Africa at the height of his fame, leaving $50 million on the table. He later described the industry as a sick environment and compared it to a pimp and prostitute dynamic. The media immediately labeled him insane and on drugs. This is the character assassination ritual. If you speak the truth, the kingmakers ensure no one believes you. Look at Randy Quaid. The Oscar-nominated actor and his wife became Star Whackers theorists, claiming a secret group in Hollywood was murdering celebrities to embezzle their estates. They fled to Canada in fear for their lives. Instead of an investigation, they were turned into a national laughingstock. Or consider Roseanne Barr, who tweeted about MKUltra and industry mind control before her entire empire was dismantled in a single afternoon. The message is clear. The truth is a mental health crisis. It's not just the stars, it's the insiders. Avicii, the world-class DJ, was reportedly working on a documentary exposing the horrors of human trafficking within the elite circles of the music world. He was found dead in Oman under mysterious circumstances. His family later spoke about his struggle with meaning, but fans pointed to the specific timing of his death as a silencing tactic. Even Katy Perry's former collaborator, Dr. Luke, became the center of a firestorm when Kesha accused him of physical and emotional programming. While the case focused on abuse, the details that leaked sounded like a textbook handler-subject relationship. Kesha was essentially frozen out of the industry for years. A warning to anyone else thinking of breaking their NDA. You wake up in a white room with no corners. Your social media accounts have been hacked and deleted. Your songs are being scrubbed from Spotify due to licensing issues. The fans who screamed your name yesterday are now posting RIP memes or calling you a crackhead in the comments. The handler walks in, holding a new black envelope. He doesn't look angry, he looks bored. You had a good run, he says, but the public likes the new version of you better. He gestures to a screen where a CGI-perfect version of you is performing your hit song. It never gets tired. It never speaks out. The curtain is falling on your life, but the show is just reaching its finale. The silence is louder than the screaming. You're standing in the center of a stadium, but the fans are gone. The seats are filled with translucent grey shadows, billions of digital ghosts staring at you through glowing smartphone screens. You try to speak, but your jaw is wired shut with a golden thread. You look down at your hands and realize they aren't flesh anymore. They're made of the same cold, recycled plastic as a Grammy trophy. The Kingmaker walks onto the stage, holding a heavy, rusted pair of shears. He leans in and whispers, They don't love you, they love the frequency we tuned you to. With one swift motion, he snips the invisible cord connecting your heart to your voice. The lights cut to a blinding surgical white. The show is over. We've reached the final altar. After the initiation, the sacrifice, the rituals and the programming, we have to ask, why? What is the end game for the elites who run this industry? In the world of high-level occultism, fame isn't about money, it's about worship. When millions of people focus their intense emotional energy on one person, that person becomes a battery for something much darker. Look at Justin Bieber. In his 2020 Yummy music video, he sits at a table of elite gluttons who literally consume him. Bieber has spent years oscillating between religious fervor and total psychological collapse, often crying on stage or begging fans to treat him like a human being rather than a product. He is the blueprint for the exhausted idol, an artist who has been squeezed of every drop of louche, emotional energy, until there is nothing left but a shell. The industry has no loyalty. Once an artist is spent, the kingmakers move to the replacement phase. Take Miley Cyrus. She transitioned from the wholesome Hannah Montana to a hypersexualized, ritual-heavy persona almost overnight. But as she began to speak about finding her true self, the industry's focus shifted to the next blank slate, or look at Doja Cat. In 2023, she shaved her head and eyebrows, posted images of demonic-looking tattoos, and told her fans she didn't love them and that her previous albums were just cash grabs. To the public, it was a troll. To researchers, it was a classic system meltdown. She was mocking the very rituals she was forced to perform. But notice what happened. Her dark aesthetic was immediately packaged and sold back to the masses as a new trend. You can't even rebel against the machine without the machine making a profit from it. Demi Lovato has been one of the most vocal about the price. After surviving a near-fatal overdose, which some theorists believe was a failed sacrifice or a botched reprogramming, she spoke about the legalized kidnapping of child stardom. She, like Selena Gomez, has spent her entire adult life in and out of treatment centers that look suspiciously like re-education camps. Even Jay-Z, the ultimate insider, famously said, "I'm not a businessman, I am a business man." He understood the game. To survive at the top, you have to stop being a human and start being a corporation. But as Dave Chappelle warned, the hardest thing to do is to be true to yourself when everybody is watching. When you trade yourself for the applause, you find that the applause eventually stops, but the debt to the kingmakers never does. You're standing in the dark now, the cold wind of Hollywood blowing through the empty stadium. You have the awards, you have the billions of streams, but you have no reflection. You realize the music industry isn't a factory for art, it's a factory for obedience. The cycle is already repeating. Somewhere in a hotel room, a new 21-year-old artist just heard a faint shift at their door. They're picking up a matte black envelope. They're about to put on a white suit. They think they're going to be a star, but are they the artist, or are they the sacrifice?